Brethren, please be seated. No true American can enter a room such as this without being deeply inspired with a true sense of patriotism. From earliest times, tribes or groups of men have adopted banners or standards to symbolize their unity or principles for which they stood. Flags and their history make a fascinating study, out of which one can gain a great deal of enjoyment and pleasure. It is but natural that our new nation should adopt for their symbol a flag, which has been changed from time to time, the development of which is illustrated here before you, and which I will briefly explain to you. This series of flags illustrates the development of our American emblem from the beginning to the present time. Previous to 1600, England and Scotland contended upon the fair fields of England for supremacy. Could we have been there, we would have seen the English marching into battle under a white flag with a red cross, while flying over the heads of the opposing forces would have been a blue flag with a white cross. The close of this controversy brought a union of England and Scotland, and a new flag was flung to the breeze, a combination of St. George's Cross of England and St. Andrew's Cross of Scotland. At the same time, the English East India Company was carrying both military and civil government to the East India colonies. Their army, maintained by a business corporation, marched under a red and white flag, representing the original colonies, together with the King's Cross in the fold. A few years later, when our American ancestors invited their British cousins to attend the Boston Tea Party, the British Redcoat occupied Boston under the King's colors. When Washington took charge of Cambridge, he raised above his headquarters what has become known as the Cambridge flag. He left no record as to the inspiration for its design, but we find it represented the 13 red and white stripes of the East India Company flag, together with the King's Cross in the fold. Such a flag drove the British out of Boston and compelled them to hurriedly change their plans for the winter's campaign. The next spring, Washington was called to Philadelphia to the Convention of Congress. Up until this time, he had clung to the idea that the goals of the colonies could be attained without complete separation from the mother country. Circumstances compelled him to change his mind, and he felt the need for complete separation. Washington, Ross, and Morris paid a visit to Betsy Ross's flag shop. To use Washington's own words, the flag itself should show complete separation from the mother country. A star for each state, forming a new constellation in the heavens. This flag drove the British out of Boston. This flag crossed the Delaware with Washington, was at Saratoga and Yorktown, flew over John Paul Jones' frigate, the Bonhomme Richard, and was the first American flag to be saluted by a foreign government. The period following the Revolutionary War was one of criticism and despair. The states failed to work together in harmony. Foreign governments refused to recognize the new nation, and the world at large predicted failure for the new enterprise. When the clouds of adversity finally broke away, the star-spangled banner was flung to the breeze. 15 red and white stripes and 15 stars. 2 new states had joined the Union, and as such was used through the War of 1812. Congress soon realized that a limit must be put on the number of stripes in order to control the size and shape of the flag. And so the government soon went back to the original idea of the 13 red and white stripes representing the 13 original colonies, and a new flag in the fold for each state. The new star to be added on the 4th of July following each state's admission into the Union. As our nation has grown, new states have been cut out of our vast, undeveloped resources, and new states added until Scott marched into Mexico carrying a flag of 25 stars. France campaigned in Dixie with one of 35 stars. Dewey sailed into Middle Bay with one of 44 stars. John Pershing, the American Yankee, tramped over Europe with one of 48 stars. Since then, Old Glory has been taken to the moon, carried to Vietnam, and proudly waved over the American forces with 50 stars. 50 stars representing 50 sovereign and independent states, cemented together into one insoluble union, which we trust God will stand until time shall be no more. Behold, the emblem of our country, the greatest flag of the greatest nation of the world. May it ever wave over a free and liberty-loving people. May it ever represent the highest ideals of American manhood, the loftiest standards of exalted womanhood, the purest principles of social democracy. May its generous soul, blessed by Almighty God, and glorified by the blood of our forefathers, ever aid and support, at home and abroad, on land, in the air, and on the sea, suffering mankind, struggling for human rights, human freedom, human advancement, and education. Brethren, in the blue field of our flag, there is a star for every state. Go, see ye to it, that there shall ever be the right kind of a state for every star